we are in for a goddamn
What
ride
is happening
here, man.
here? Kismet!
We're done.
There we go. Yep.
This is it.
Yep.
Shutting this fucker down. What the sweet holy is this beer?
Going to air.
Stand by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade out.
Fish are friends, not food.
Make it Centauri time.
Too much iron on your blood.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
Hey, what happened?
Let's fly! Let's get pissed and watch boom.
Hello, you've got a base.
Are you saying there's something wrong with my gear?
We're going streaking!
He found me!
He's doing his Superman thing.
I still only counts as one.
Why is the rum always gone?
Well, welcome to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from 2 decades ago while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
and we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Those of our regular listeners would have noticed last episode or last full episode with
The Last Samurai.
The Last Samurai. We are starting off with a little more of a recap style, and we're not going to call it a segment. But Tim, how you been? What have you been watching and enjoying?
Recently, Ellen and I finished the 3rd season of the Jack Ryan season
nice.
on
I haven't
Amazon.
watched it yet.
Have you seen that one or the other ones?
I have seen first season fully and half of season 2, and I think at some point
And the second's
got
not
away
very
from
good.
it because
The second's not very good. The first we thoroughly enjoyed.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
we were very hesitant for the third of like, please be good. I can nicely confirm that it is an enjoyable
Good,
watch.
nice.
It definitely has a nice vibe to it, and the story it's oddly interesting with the whole Ukraine-Russia thing that I don't know they probably thought about when they were making it. That seems to come through. But anyway, for that audience, it's very enjoyable.
Nice.
If those folks out there are enjoying, and we are very excited for the impending release of season 3 of Ted Lasso.
Sure. Yeah.
Next week.
Yep.
But in the meantime, we were watching a very similar themed in many ways show, Shrinking,
Sure.
on Apple. So if you are unsure of it, check it out. It's very enjoyable. Harrison Ford is a goddamn living legend.
Yeah.
So incredible.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, we haven't really been watching much. I'm excited to see what the Oscars end up being tomorrow night. I know you and I have talked about kind of predictions and such.
Yeah,
but
we'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe.
no, that's what we've been doing. How about you?
Well, I mean, movie-wise, obviously I've been watching Last of Us and then like the first couple episodes of Mandalorian and stuff like that, but we don't necessarily need to go down that. But although Last of Us is something special.
Finale's tomorrow. Oh, God.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Finally watched that.
Yes.
Which had taken a long time to see. I really enjoyed that a lot. I know that's your favorite movie of the last year.
Yes.
I really like it a lot. I was really blown away by that. So that's a hard movie to recommend to people, though. I think
Absolutely,
it's a really hard. Like our parents wouldn't necessarily like it at all, or it's just not for them. Maybe so. It's a bit of a niche film. But I saw that with our friend Kara, and we really enjoyed that. She really liked it a lot. And then we also saw, speaking of niche films, we saw Cocaine Bear.
I'm so jealous.
Which is exactly what it sounds like. And I bring it up solely because of the connection to this movie, because obviously that was directed by Elizabeth Banks.
It was. That's right.
In this movie, and we'll talk about it. But it is somewhat.
She's come a long way.
And she's come a long way, baby. Although she's a very well-respected producer and things like that. But yeah, Cocaine Bear is exactly what you would expect it to be. It is, and want it to be.
Yes.
It's actually almost not as absurd as you would even want it to be, because we've talked about that with Bullet Train and how like you're along for the ride of the absurdity. It almost could have been even more absurd, and you'd have been like, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this.
It's no Sharknado.
No, it's exactly what you would think it is, except, I wish they would make more movies like that and release them in theaters, because you make them on a budget, you make them, and you just make them cheesy and dumb, and it's a lot of fun. So,
Ray Liotta?
Ray Liotta, or as a person near us said Ray Liotta, and I was like, "You, sir, are a moron."
No.
Yeah, not only has the man been dead for a year or
Yes.
whatever, no. So I don't know if that's his last release. I assume it is,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna go out getting eaten
That's a
by a
good
bear.
one.
Really is how that's gonna go.
It's so great.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I love you so.
We could talk a lot about The Last of Us, but I don't really want to, obviously, because we have the finale tomorrow, and with the Oscars tomorrow, I'm sure we'll cover a few of that on our next episode next month, or our next dual episodes next month.
Yep.
And actually, we'll probably talk about it a little bit later. But I do think Everything Everywhere is going to do really well tomorrow.
Which I'm very happy with. I love
Yeah.
that movie.
Very good. All right. Well, then, in this episode, we continue our journey through the films of 2003, and we'll be re-watching the crowd-pleasing Depression-era drama. Wait.
That's a great turn of
Wait.
phrase.
Checks notes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The crowd-pleasing Depression-era drama, Seabiscuit. And later we will also discuss The Italian Job during our upcoming Happy Hour episode. Seabiscuit is the Depression-era true story of two underdogs, one an oversized, washed-up, and damaged jockey named Red, and the other an undersized and damaged racehorse named Seabiscuit. Fate brings the two kindred spirits together and they begin to restore one another. Eventually, along with the horse's owner and their trainer, the group set out to show a broken nation that anything is possible.
Nice.
That's how it's done.
Very good summary.
The film is written and directed by Gary Ross and stars Tobey Maguire as Red, Jeff Bridges, Chris Cooper, the aforementioned Elizabeth Banks, and William H. Macy.
As long as we're talking long shots, I got a real doozy for you, folks. Today we got a horse that's going off at 70 to 1, and that's a short price, my friends. This horse couldn't win a church raffle, let alone a $2,000 allowance. Yeah, talk about a jump in class. This is the skunk of the garden party. Yes, he's the surprise in the punch bowl. As a matter of fact, I'll lay even money that this nag Seabiscuit couldn't even finish 6 furlongs. This is Tick Tock McLaughlin live at Clocker's Corner.
It's not my fault. Not this time.
I told you, look out for Rosemont.
I thought I had it.
You stopped riding.
I couldn't see him.
What the hell are you talking about? He was flying up your tail.
Yeah, well, I can't
What?
see out there.
Our first segment, as always, is Drinking Buddies,
Come on, not my fucking beer.
where we present the beers we will be drinking while rewatching our subject film. As our name would suggest, we cover 4 beers. And so then this week we do have a bit of a strange brew, so we'll actually end up covering 5. So Tim will be walking us through our buddies for tonight. Take it away.
Thank you. From Oliphant Brewing, just over the river into Wisconsin.
Somerset.
They're Dracula Weed. Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
Dracula Weed West Coast Style IPA with Cascade, Chinook, Simcoe, and Warrior hops. So we'll be enjoying that first. Let me get that.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet,
That was a good
sweet one. Thank you. And then we have our theme beer, which admittedly it's a stretch. Shocking. But twofold. One, wanted to clean out their fridge. And 2,
Sure.
This one is from our friends up north in Duluth, the Wild State Cider.
Nice.
So we're changing it up a little bit for beer, but it's
Yeah.
a cider. And in many horse derbies,
Oh, Lord.
a major one, Kentucky, I know it doesn't take place in this, but the Kentucky Derby,
Sure.
they have a mint julep. It's kind of the standard
Yep.
drink. So this is their blueberry mint.
Ah, I see what
cider.
you did there. Okay.
You like that? So we're going to have that.
Also, horses eat apples.
See? Oh,
There you
man,
go.
even better. And I'm sure blueberries can come in somehow, but we'll
Yep.
figure it out. And then Insight Brewing from Minneapolis, which, we've had some of them before.
A couple, yeah.
We have one of their specialty one-off beers. It's Control Alt Beer,
yeah.
double dry hopped, double IPA. And then we will have, I don't know what this is, Mortalis Brewing,
Yeah.
which is from, well, the name of the beer is From Hawaii with Love, which is a stout brewed with pineapple, coconut, and coffee. Oh, it's from Avon, New York.
Mhm.
So excited for that.
Be curious.
And then we have the Strange Brew that
Which
we'll cover when we tap into it.
later. Perfect. Well, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, then that, as usual, brings us to the social network,
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 20 years ago Tim takes point on these as well. So, Tim, what did the critics say about our Seabiscuit film?
The IMDb rating is 7.3 out of 10. David Anson of Newsweek magazine said, Seabiscuit may be too airbrushed for its own good, but in the end, nothing can stop the story from putting a lump in your throat. Rex Reed of The Observer, just wait for this.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't leave the theater entertained, informed, and satisfied, you need to have your pulse checked to see if you still have a heart. That man is
He's not
cynical
wrong, man.
to a fault, but that one I was surprised with. So, and then Big Man Roger Ebert, 3.5 out of 4. Said the story has the classic structure of a sports movie, and the races are thrilling because writer-director Ross and cinematographer Schwartzman get amazingly close to the action. At times, it's hard to figure out where the camera is since we seem to be suspended between two desperately striving horses and their jockeys. The film has the rare ability to likely satisfy both those who have read the book and those who have not. And that year, and I must say, I totally forgot this amount, that they were nominated for 7 Academy Awards.
Final 5 on the Best Picture side.
Which is crazy, yeah. So adapted screenplay, based upon, again, the book, cinematography, editing, art direction, set direction, costume design, sound mixing, and Best Picture that year. And I must admit, I totally forgot it was up for Best Picture.
Yeah, it was the only one of all of them that didn't win a single one. And then it was also the only one of the 5 that wasn't up for Best Director.
And yes, I should say, 7 nominations, but 0 wins that year.
Yeah. And then it's funny you mentioned Schwartzman, who was nominated for this on the cinematography side. I read something in my extensive research where Gary Ross, apparently his son was 6 at the time and really loved The Rookie. And Schwartzman shot The Rookie. And his son, who was 6, suggested Gary Ross should get whoever shot The Rookie.
The Rookie.
Apparently. And I was like, what? That's awesome.
That's really great.
I do really love this movie, actually, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I am glad we're covering it. It was very popular at the time, for sure.
I don't know that I've seen it since the theater, honestly.
Oh, yeah. It's just, I mean, we'll talk about it later. So let's not get too far ahead of myself.
Okay.
Well, all right. So there you go. We are going to pause and re-watch the movie. If you are so inclined, go right ahead and watch along with us. If not, we will see you on the other side of this break. Here now is Seabiscuit.
Just think this horse has a lot of heart. He may have been down, but he wasn't out. He may have lost a few, but he didn't let it get to him. I think we could all learn a lick or two from this little guy. Oh, and by the way, he doesn't know he's little. He thinks he's the biggest horse out there.
So you got big plans for this little horse?
Oh, yeah. See, sometimes when the little guy, he doesn't know he's a little guy, he can do great big things. See, this isn't the finish line. The future's the finish line. And the Biscuit is just the horse to get us there.
Just the horse to get us there. You certainly made a believer out of me, Mr. Howard. It's time for this old tout to eat some crow. 4 and 20 blackbirds, to be exact, all baked up in some humble pie. And I'll take mine a la mode. Oh, and one more thing, Mr. Howard. I just want to say thanks for the champagne.
Don't mention it.
Did you see the infield?
No, not yet.
Take a look. Your little horse is selling out the cheap seats.
All right, well, welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers. We have just finished rewatching Seabiscuit and also have enjoyed 4 new beers. Boy, if you like our beer segment, you better stick around.
Just you wait.
And we have a strange brew to come, so it'll be a really interesting time. Anyway, but first, as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
Where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. I've seen this more recently, so Tim, why don't you get us started?
You're going to have to bleep this out.
Do it. That's fine. I have a couple F-bombs, too.
This was so fucking good.
Yeah, right?
I have not seen it since the theater, and maybe like a time after.
Yeah. Catch it on
it's
TV.
At least
or
been
who knows.
so long.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, halfway through, I literally said to you, I don't know how this movie ends.
Yeah.
And I figured it was going to be enjoyable. But it is so good.
Yep.
So good. Enjoyable. And it takes its time to tell a really,
lot of time,
really,
by the way.
Yeah, but not like it just.
Not that you're bored, but it takes its time.
We talked about this with Last Samurai. Like, tell the story you want to tell.
Yeah.
time arbitrarily or whatever, be damned. Like, just tell a great story. And that's what I want. And it's so good. So, yeah, right off the bat, had to just, like,
it is.
Call it. It's so good.
Off recording, we talked about Dances with Wolves.
Yes.
And we've talked in the past about the Forrest Gump syndrome of things and how, like, time and popularity definitely ruin movies in some ways or diminish them and to be like, oh, Forrest Gump is not a great movie or Dances with Wolves because of these other movies. Like, because again, if you're going to tell me that Dances with Wolves is better than Goodfellas, I okay. But I mean, very different movies. If you're going to tell me that Forrest Gump is better than Shawshank Redemption, I'm going to be like, okay, I don't know about that. Titanic, Good Will Hunting, whatever you want to talk about. There's a lot of movies that, like, because they became popular.
Yeah.
And this is another one. It's just like that just because it was popular and there were like some fun, I don't know, like stereotypes about it or whatever, does not make it a bad movie.
Yeah.
Oh man. I love this movie. It just makes you feel so good.
I was so impressed. So okay. Right off the bat.
What do you got?
So good. So I said it before, and I'll say it again.
Say it again, good sir.
I love we're doing this podcast specifically around like a 20-year mark of saying, okay, what would have come out this year 20 years ago? And we've had lots of discussions over like what should we include or not.
Right.
And this was kind of on the
It was on the fence. Yeah, I mean, it was on my list, but it was,
I was like, I mean, okay, I'm like, it's a crowd pleaser.
Even Andrea, if she's listening down the road, was like, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I've had people talk like, I've never seen it. Okay, fine. It hits so much different now than when I watched when I was 23. So the first freaking 20 minutes are like a gut punch.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Yeah.
With these character arcs in the story. So again, we always say spoiler for these things, but the movie starts with like a father giving away a son, basically.
Yeah.
We can't afford you because of the depression. Another one, a young kid dies.
Yeah.
I was like, holy hell, dude.
Yeah.
What did I sign up for? Was not prepared
we
for
think
this.
we got it bad now.
Yeah.
Go back 100 years.
It's crazy, but what's important for this movie is it sets the stage so well for these broken people to come together.
Yeah.
And what I really love about it was the genius move, just genius, to present, it sounds stupid, the horse.
Yeah.
And its backstory with the similar type of like, narrative around being overlooked and just beaten down to then them all come together. So you've got the jockey and the horse trainer and the businessman all suffering these,
and the horse,
and then you add in the horse together.
Yeah.
So 3 people, 1 horse, and it sounds stupid. Like
I know
it sounds stupid.
It does. Yeah,
like to really summarize it.
Yeah,
but all they can achieve to rally the nation together, it's you just go like, how do you think about? I mean, kudos to the writer. I forget Laura Hildebrand.
Yeah,
to put it together and then to make it into a movie where it all pivots to me on when they have the horse's backstory portrayed in a way that's similar to these humans.
Yep.
And it comes together and it's just so freaking good.
Yeah.
Just genius but again, I remember watching it and enjoying it well enough when I was 23.
Yeah.
Now, man, knocked me for a loop.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
So damn good.
I think on top of that, from a filmmaking standpoint, the single best thing they ever did was make this feel like a documentary.
Absolutely.
It is.
Yes.
Like, you bring in David McCullough, one of the all-time great nonfiction writers.
Yes.
And one of the best damn voices ever.
Exactly.
Who also, at that time, had narrated Ken Burns' baseball. He was also a narrator on documentaries. So it felt genius move of bringing in somebody who it like grounds it in realism, which, by the way, this is a real story.
Yeah.
I mean, Laura Hildebrand writes this story and is very well done. So yeah, for me, totally agree. But my biggest thing was just like that documentary feel to the beginning and then throughout.
Yes.
And using it. So the first 25 minutes, 20 minutes or so, it basically gets us to the modern, like the story takes place in 1938 to 1940. In real life, it's 1938-ish or whatever, but like over those couple of years. The damn thing starts in 1910. Like, I mean, you have to get 20-some years, and in the first 20 years, you've got all these layers going in there. It feels like a documentary. You got McCullough's voiceover. You got the real-life footage or pictures. Excuse me, not footage. That documentary style is what sets this apart from any other. We're going to get into this later because I'll talk about it, but like underdog story, sports story, whatever you want to talk about, it sets it apart. It becomes real, like, because it is real.
Yes.
And so if we're going to tell a real story, let's tell a documentary style story, and we're going to do it with a nonfiction writer who's also been narrated over these things. Like, it's whoever, whether it was Ross or the producers or whomever, came up with that idea to make it feel that way. Because initially you think maybe it's the first 10 minutes and you're done.
Yeah.
No. Halfway, a little over 3/4 way through, they're talking about in that final race about, you know, half the country or whatever is listening to it. That's McCullough still doing that.
Yeah, 40 million Americans listen to it. Yes.
It's like, it is brilliant.
Yes.
Stroke of brilliance. Love it. So what you're talking about is like, it's the same thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. What works for me is like, you know, I feel this movie only works because it was based on a true story.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we watch so many movies where you go like, how do you actually put these pieces together?
Yeah.
To feel like they're so much better because of the drama, the challenge, reflecting real struggles, real people, that you can, without having to like put heavy-handed things to the audience of like, you are a real person, so do you have a similar feeling? You can connect. Like, this isn't like an empathy overload in this in that sense, but it works because, I mean, you think about, this doesn't really, I think, relate or translate if it's not really based upon a true story.
Yeah.
Like, it would feel like, oh, the jockey and the horse both get hurt.
Right.
And then all these things come together and all these. Yeah, so I value that, but I think, yes, it's a great call out where it elevates the material to have it feel like it's a glorified documentary.
Yeah.
Where it can get balanced between kind of the dramatized elements of it with the narration. So yeah, I was not prepared for that combination, that it had such a weight to it. And yes, David McCullough, God, such a great voice.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I think that's what becomes, and what we forget about the best. If you were to list off the best 20 sports movies, they are, or like this kind of movie, they are all based on true stories. There's like, the best ones, the only good ones are, now don't get me wrong, I love me some Major League, and I still think that's one of the absolute best baseball movies ever.
It's so good.
But A League of Their Own, from a quality of a movie standpoint, is based on a real story.
Hoosiers.
Right. And we can go over them, and I'll talk about that in a little while. But like, the best sports stories or the best competition stories or whatever, they are based in reality. Because if they're not, you don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are so unbelievable that you just, it doesn't work for film.
Totally.
The only reason they work when they're good is because they're based in reality.
Yeah.
And that's the difference here. And I think what separates this movie from other sports stories or whatever is that arguably the climax of this horse's story is beating War Admiral, who was a Triple Crown winner at the time, head to head. And yet there's 30 minutes after it.
I was shocked. I'm like, how are they going to,
right?
What's next?
Right. The drama is not at all the competition.
Yes.
The drama of this movie from the beginning is the story of the 4 people and the horse.
Yeah.
3 people, I guess, but I'll include the wife. The wife.
Well, it's out. I mean, she's kind of like,
But it's the people involved to the point. What I'm saying is, it is not until 45 minutes into this movie that Seabiscuit is introduced.
I was like, when is the horse going to come in?
45 minutes in.
Yes.
until
Yes.
Seabiscuit's backstory is the horse is even introduced.
Yes.
And then the backstory comes in.
Yes.
So the name of this movie is Seabiscuit, and yet the main sort of character is not that. It's that feeling of overcoming all this. And
Yes.
the movie, oh man.
Well, what was really great is I agree. Like, God bless a good underdog story.
Right.
And you have the forced climax. Not that it was like a bad
No.
force. It's just like
yep.
half an hour left, and he's already beaten what was
Right.
seen to be the unvanquishable
Right.
antagonist. What's left? And yes, it's the repair, it's the connection, it's these people coming back together after being so broken. But what I really love was halfway through that when it was coming to, again, the training and leaning into what the horse's abilities are,
Yeah.
that seeing what the race was going to be against War Admiral,
Yeah.
they had to change it.
Yep.
And that, I think, is a great pivot. Usually it's just like, keep on leaning into who you are and like tap into more potential or whatever it is. This was like, no, we're going to have to train a simple creature with classical conditioning to do something different than they've ever done. And I love the fact that it's going to have to be done not with the jockey that's been with him and connected with it because he got injured.
Yep.
It's going to be somebody else. So he's going to have to learn it. And so that pivot was just a fantastic narrative.
Yeah.
Where you feel the uncertainty, even though you kind of know it's going to have to be good.
Again, you don't make a movie about this 70 years later without it being like a positive end.
Yeah, it can't be a
story.
super downer.
Yeah.
So having it, and I do actually kind of like that with the shift where it's not just the two of them, Red and Seabiscuit, the jockey and the horse, when he gets injured, and that's such a funny thing of like, oh, dude, what are you doing?
I know.
When that narrative thing is like,
what? But you would think
you would know.
Except you gave me 45 minutes before to realize that all these people in the entire country have gone through just shit.
Yes.
And so he will do whatever he can to help somebody who helped him.
Yes. Which, exactly. It's perfect. He like finds somebody that needs his help, so he does it.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's true or not.
But
I
sure.
don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
It's good enough. Yeah.
It works for the film. It works.
It works for the film.
Yeah.
But to the point where the other jockey comes in to then have at the end, the final race be that the other jockey who knows the horse that he helped win comes back to have him get that retraining, if you will, and be like, see, oh my God, just weeping openly.
Yep.
Weeping openly.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Bloodshot eyes.
So good.
Yeah,
so,
many reasons.
I
this movie did not help my bloodshot eyes. It didn't help.
Very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, you talk about George Wolfe in this is the other
the other jockey that comes in.
Yeah. Spare a thought, man, for Gary Stevens. Like,
is he a real jockey?
Yes. Hall of Fame, one of the greatest jockeys
Are you serious?
of all time.
Like, he's got the size.
Yeah. Gary Stevens, 9-time Triple Crown winner in terms of like he won 3 of each. The Kentucky Derby.
That's so good.
Belmont and whatever the other one is. I'm not even.
That makes me so happy that he's so good in this. Like a real jockey comes in and just kills it.
Oh shit! What's the other one?
Triple Crown.
Yeah, it was like Belmont, Kentucky Derby, and
sorry, I googled Triple Crown. It says Triple Crown pet friendly apartments. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for.
No, thankfully it didn't come up with porn.
Kentucky Derby, Preakness Stakes.
Yeah.
Belmont Stakes
at Pimlico, and so like it is. Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame jockey. Won over 5,000 races in his career, and he comes in. And I'm pretty sure his only other credit is in Luck, that Showtime.
Oh, yeah.
Which was actually really good. But a man who's never acted in his life, all he is a horse, like a horse racer. Not all he is. Like he had a Hall of Fame career. And he comes in and he freaking nails it.
He's so good.
He nails it. Like, well played, good sir.
Yes.
Like you come in and you do this. He's outstanding in this movie. He's not stupid or cliche or anything. He's got a good role to the point where I didn't even include him in the initial He's in this movie more than William H. Macy.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
and yet I didn't even include him in it because it's Gary Stevens.
Yes.
So like, like, as soon as it started, he showed up. I was like, son of a bee! I forgot about Gary Stevens. Like, yeah.
Well, and what stands out in terms of that role coming in, where you are up against, not against, it sounds like antagonistic, but you are going to be in the same scenes as Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Chris
Cooper, both
Cooper.
Oscar winners. Yeah.
Tobey Maguire,
who actually is very good.
really good in this. And I think he gets, depending on the material, Maguire's hit or miss.
Well,
But
as long as he doesn't have to cry, you're
true.
fine.
No
Good
crying, Maguire is great.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible. And Elizabeth Banks and William H. Macy, like everybody together.
Yeah.
And then you bring in this guy. So I think it was such a great trait to this is you think about, we talked about in the past, like casting directors and
Yeah,
such.
but don't you think, don't you think underneath you kind of feel like that brings in a level of authenticity? And maybe
Yes.
that's what you're getting to. I'm just like,
Yes.
you have these established actors
Yes.
/ up and coming,
Yes.
and you bring in a Hall of Fame jockey.
Yeah.
Nobody knew
No,
in 2003 that was Gary Stevens.
No.
This is, it's internet, but like pre what we would know
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Nobody knew,
Yeah,
and yet
he's
brings
some short
it in.
dude. Yes.
Yeah, he's just short.
But
Sorry. Anyway, casting directors.
I just think about this is a great example of how you can bring the right cast together
Yeah.
to just tell a really solid story. And I was so impressed. So one last thing I'll say is the word that stood out to me while watching this was quaint.
Quaint.
Okay. And I often feel like it's conflated to mean like boring or simple.
Yeah, simple for sure.
But
you're so quaint. Yeah.
But I actually looked it up because I was like,
Oh,
what is
of
it? Like,
course
I'm
you
like,
did. Yeah,
I'm
all
curious.
right.
But actually, oddly enough, it means attractively old-fashioned.
Sure.
And that's just what this film is.
Yeah.
It is across the board a wholesomely quaint movie.
Yeah.
From the story to the execution. It is, even as tough it is to watch the beginning, the death of his son.
Yeah.
And like the trauma, it's very brushed through. Like
They handled
bloodless.
it better than almost any death
Yes.
of a kid on film
Right?
history.
Yeah, like it's traumatic,
Yeah.
but not jarring in the sense of 20 minutes in, this is a downer.
Yeah.
I mean, you have whole movies centered around loss of children and that kind of thing. Or speaking of Last of Us, half an hour in, gut
Yeah.
destroying
Yeah.
awfulness.
Yeah.
So you can have one example of well done, no discredit. But across the board, this was just enjoyable and attractively old-fashioned. And you don't really see movies like this much anymore, where it's just a well-done, start-to-finish, enjoyable movie that I didn't want to take notes much, honestly.
No.
I mean, I did a little bit, but it was like, I
'Cause
just
we
want
have
to
to,
sit and enjoy this because it's
Yeah.
so freaking good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I have a few other thoughts, but to your point, we're going to talk about this with the Italian Job. I think enjoyable almost even diminishes this film.
Yeah.
Because the Italian Job or Ocean's 11 or those kind of movies are enjoyable. Like, put it on, you're going to enjoy this movie. That kind of thing. But this movie is enjoyable, but it's going to make you feel something along the way.
Very true. Yes.
There is much more depth to this. And
Absolutely.
I think over time, Seabiscuit got a really negative rap.
Yes.
Not that it was bad, but it was like, oh, it's feel good. It's this kind of stuff. You're tugging on the heartstrings. You're like, okay, at what point is this a negative? And
Absolutely.
Man, I understand that, we're all in our different situations in time or whatever, but you just go, I watched this a couple years ago and it still made me feel something. Watch it now, it makes me feel something different. Like, it's just a good movie like this isn't reliant upon where you're it doesn't matter. I've been in multiple different places in my personal life and watched this movie and it still made me feel something. Tells you something about the movie more than the where you're at.
Well,
and I think that to me is where I'm like, okay, well played. It's not just enjoyable where I can put it on in the background and be like, I like this movie. This is fun. No, this is going to not only, you're going to put it on, but you're going to now, if I'm like folding laundry or doing something else, I'm actually going to sit down and I'm actually going to watch this movie instead of what I'm doing. It like sucks you in.
Absolutely.
So I think there's a fundamental difference there.
And for what it's worth, at the time of recording, this is 3 years to the weekend after declarations occurred largely across the country of we are shutting down of a global pandemic.
Sure.
And so this movie takes place around a time where Great Strife, the Depression, amazing narration to talk about how difficult it was. And not to conflate in any way the two because it was so different.
They're not equal.
Like, but in terms of the universal impact of something so devastating, different, terrifying in many ways for families, that it hit me in a different way than obviously 20 years ago, because you're like, oh, it's, okay, nothing could be, it's fine.
It's
Post 9/11, okay, we'll figure it out. But this had a different resonance now, 3 years after what we all went through, that I was surprised by. But just feeling the impact. So I agree. Like, you don't plan for this when you watch it, but of any movie to watch for us with 20 years after, like, this was great to watch now. Anyway, other points you got?
I have a few others, but
Please.
I guess the one I want to say is at no point in this movie is a cliche, which you got to give them credit for. The sound design in this movie is freaking incredible. Because you talk about the way they handled the death of the son. With the silence.
There's no score.
Right.
Like trying to pull your emotions.
Because we're going to talk about the score in a second. Right. There's no like overarching and like violin, heavy-handed, whatever. When they press the button with War Admiral and Seabiscuit's match race, and it goes to McCullough's narration, not score, not anything,
of showing
it's silence and McCullough's narration. The sound design of this movie is just almost perfection. I know it didn't win because it didn't win anything.
Well, again, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I agree with you, except what I'm about to say, which is it lost cinematography to Master Commander because Lord of the Rings was not even nominated for cinematography that year, which is a crime. But like, boy, I've watched Master Commander more recently than you have. We know this. The cinematography is incredible.
So good.
Incredible.
Yes.
And it's hard to fathom that the same person who did The Rookie did this movie.
I agree. Like a year later,
I love The Rookie. And I know you didn't love it as much as I do, but I'm like, this is the same person?
I didn't like it for the cinematography.
Horse racing cinematography is like, holy crap. I'm like in it. It was incredible.
Yes.
Do you have any other thoughts? I have one last thought.
Please go ahead.
The score is a detriment to this movie. I have a quibble. You know, I like me some Randy Newman. You gotta love Randy Newman. He's the okay, fine.
Yes.
Carter Burwell, we talked about, like he did The Rookie, of course. And he's up for this year in a Academy Award too. But like the score, it's very telling when the best part of this movie, from a score standpoint, is a Moby track.
A modern version
and
of
it is perfectly used in that moment.
Perfect. Yes.
I just go, I understand that Ross and Newman have a history together. I get that point.
Because his Pleasantville score, the mural track alone is
perfection. It's great.
Incredible.
It's great.
Incredible. Yes.
Should have won for that anyway back then. He won 2 other times for song, but
I agree.
The score is not, and so I think a lot of times what maybe feels, I think one of your critics said essentially like it doesn't go where it could have, and I do think like some of that is the score is saying I don't need a heavy-handed tell me how to feel type of score. But Randy Newman is not known for dramatic scores.
True. Very.
And so if you're going to come into this movie, it really could have been, whether it's a Carter Burwell at the time or I don't even know who off the top of my head, but like it's not a detriment in the sense of like it's fun or quirky, but it doesn't bring anything to the table.
No.
Until the end, which isn't really, it's a good score, but the moment is what hits you, not the score.
No.
So it could have been almost anything at the end of that.
Yes.
So very disappointed that Randy Newman is the composer on this movie.
Yeah.
That's the only detriment I have.
Yeah.
Because in the end, we talked about with Last Samurai, which is nominated for 4 Oscars.
Yeah.
The Oscars aren't the be-all, end-all, but if you get nominated more than 1 or 2, at some point, you're like, oh, you got to kind of take notice. This MFing movie was up for 7.
Yes.
Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
For, like, I just go, but it wasn't up for score. So I guess is what I'm saying. Like, so I don't really have any other thoughts necessarily, except to say, I love a movie that makes you feel something without forcing it.
Yeah.
It's just a good story, man. Like, it's just a good story.
It's like to the end, it's going to be, going to feel good.
Yeah.
But I love movies where, like, sure, if I want a good cry, I'm going to watch Green Mile. Like, knock me in the face.
Yep.
So incredible. Like, we all have our, like, kind of go-to of just catharsis.
Oh, yeah.
But something like this, I was crying because it was so wonderful.
Yeah.
And moving and joyful and like
encouraging,
a crowd
towards
pleaser.
Yes. Yep.
Just
a crowd pleasing.
Yes.
Depression era.
Yes. Attractively old fashioned
drama. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. So as we close out our spotlight segment, we come to another segment, I guess, that we call the verdict. I keep forgetting to edit. My notes say a newer. It's not new at this point.
Newish.
But, a newish segment called The Verdict.
I'm going up there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let the jury decide.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after watching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades. I think you know where this is going. I'll go first.
Okay.
Man, who doesn't love a good underdog story? Along the lines of Hoosiers or Rudy or Miracle, movies such as Seabiscuit do exactly what they set out to do, which is to make us believe in something bigger than ourselves, while also relating to the core feeling of being down and overlooked. Seabiscuit as a film is exactly what we want it to be, and yet still we find ourselves absolutely enthralled and engaged in every character and in each of the characters' fates. Even though you know what the end likely holds well in advance, although this movie does take that trope and sort of like flip it up a little bit.
Yep.
You find yourself nervous for the outcome. I have seen this movie many times, and it still brings up visceral reaction each and every time because it hits differently where I'm at in my own personal life along the way.
Yep.
I love it. It holds up more than actually probably to your point. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. We're at 4 stars, right?
5.
5? I give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's enjoyable in every sense of the word. And it's not a movie that you just put on in the background. It just sucks you in. So I have 4.5 out of 5. It's not cliche. Go watch it. It's outstanding. I love this movie.
That's great. A movie that don't really make anymore. Seabiscuit tells the moving story of 3 broken men and 1 underdog horse coming together to inspire a nation looking for something to cheer for. It's just downright incredible.
Yeah.
From start to finish. And I was not prepared for it. I honestly signed up.
From start to finish.
Yeah. Across the board. It's just flat out incredible. I said it, crowd pleasers get a bad rap in that they are lowest common denominator, just filler type of crap. And to me, that's at times appropriate criticism. Not for this. This film is a prime example of movies you can watch with anybody of any age and just be goddamn delighted by. It's moving, it's funny, and crying. Like it's just everything you sign up for when you think about why we go see movies. 4 out of 5 for me. I was flat out so happy that we watched this. It's really, really good.
Nice. All right. Well, with our reactions to the movie out of the way, we move on to our reactions to our buddies that we drank while watching the movie. Excuse me, while I hand Tim my glass.
Buddies
yeah, the buddies we drank. That brings us then to our beer reaction segment that we affectionately call Drinking Buddies, the sequel.
Let's get weird.
Where we take a look back at our beers and give our expert ratings so that you can write them down and save them for the next time that you are in the liquor store or to just enjoy. We will also be cracking now, as Tim opened it, into our Strange Brew, although we may have already had our Strange Brew, depending on how it shakes out. So let's get this going. Again, Tim misspelled in my notes.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
If you would, please bring us back through our buddies for the episode.
Tom?
It says time.
I'll say carry the E.
Time? Would you
E
bring
is
us back
silent.
through? Yeah, what do we got, Tim?
First one we had was Oliphant Brewing out of Wisconsin. Their Dracula Weed. Their West Coast style IPA with, again, Cascade Chinook, Simcoe, and Warrior hops. It was a 3.75 for me. It was fine. I guess I'm thinking nowadays when we have hazies so omnipresent that when you think about something being classified as a West Coast, I expect more bitter hops. And it just wasn't bitter enough for me.
Sure.
It was fine. It was a nice IPA. 3.75 for me.
Nice. I ended up with a 4. I think Oliphant's good. It's got a solid, I don't really have much more than that. This is standard. It wasn't even quite a West Coast standard IPA.
Yeah.
Boy, did we mess up on the Strange Brew on this one. But
totally
I did not know what
How
we
would
knew
you
when
know?
we poured it.
Because
We're going to get back to that in a little bit. So we may have to just shake this around and call this not our Strange Brew.
No.
Anyway,
And
I
then
had a 4 out of 5 on that one. It was a regular IPA. It was good. Nothing special.
No, not special. Then we had Wild State Cidery, their blueberry mint cider. A 3.5 for me.
Nice.
And I like the fact that the mint and blueberry were really subtle.
Sure.
We've had some, or at least I've had like different mint ones where like, whew, that's like a strong hit of mint. The blueberry wasn't, it just was like a nice undertone.
There was blueberry in that?
Yeah. But it wasn't,
Okay.
yeah, again, super subtle.
Yeah.
It was fine. Like it was a 3.5 for me.
Isn't it blackberry? I don't want to tell you what
Sorry,
you're.
blackberry. Yes. I don't know why my notes said that. Again, all lives matter.
All berries matter.
All berries matter. Blackberry. To the fact that it's so subtle, I didn't know the flavor of the berry.
It wasn't. I was like, okay.
Yes. I liked it. It was nice, but it wasn't like overwhelming. But it was just like, okay, it's fine.
Right.
I think of like one where you think about a flavor of a cider, you want to have a prominent kind of impact. That not so much.
I had a 3.25 out of 5, largely because it tasted like I had had a cider after brushing my teeth.
Yeah. Yes.
That was the mint of it, and I was like, this just doesn't bring anything to it. So I had a 3.25. It was fine. I got nothing on it. I'm really just trying to get us to the last two beers.
Like I'm filling it in.
I was filling. It's just filler.
The blueberry will make
what
sense.
do we got?
In a bit. And then we had Insight Brewing out of Minneapolis. Their Control Alt beer, double dry hopped, double IPA. This is a 4.25 for me. I really liked it. It's a solid one I had in the brewery a few weeks ago. Brought it home thinking, please hold up. And it did. I liked it. It's very, very tasty. Nothing like amazing, but for their departures, kind of like a different option. I liked it a lot.
I have a 4 out of 5. I'm not a huge Insight fan, so it does sort of like affect that a little, I'll admit. But again, coming from that cider, it was a bit of a like change in pace, so it took me a little bit, but I think I probably increased it.
Yeah,
I did think it was really good. It wasn't officially a hazy, right? But it was like it had a bit of a haze to it.
It did.
I mean, it was there was there. So I had a 4 out of 5. It was solid, especially for me for Insight.
So
which
buckle
do you want
up.
to cover? Yeah, which do you want to cover first?
I mean,
we'll cover it in order.
I feel like we have to.
Yeah,
because we're drinking it.
So I don't know when to put this in terms of the Strange Brew sound effect.
Take off, you loser. You take off, you numb.
Right?
It can be both.
I'll put it in both.
Yes.
Because the other one is really interesting
unexpected.
too. I think we have two Strange Brews.
Oh, we definitely do.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, love it. All right,
So-
what do we got?
For listeners at the beginning thinking we are signing up for a stout, again,
Yes.
synonymous with dark beer.
Yeah.
When we poured this,
Oh my god.
Steve said, pause the movie. And I was like, what? He's like, just pour it out. See what happens. And we poured out this stout brewed with pineapple, coconut, and coffee. Much to our surprise, it was not dark at all. It looked like a blonde or hazy or any kind of IPA type of style. And for those who have had maybe the coffee blonde from Modest in the cities,
Sure,
it had that vibe to it, or any other
white
ones.
Stout,
a white stout you've had. So it clearly was a white stout.
Here's what I found.
Well,
thanks, Apple.
well, thanks, Siri.
Shut up,
For
Siri.
nothing. I don't know how to handle this. So, if they had said it was a sour brewed with pineapple coffee and coffee, and coconut, I might have been so coconut flavor. There was none.
No, I didn't.
You smelled it.
Yeah,
To me, I did.
yeah.
Pineapple was like the fruity kind of thing.
Sure.
The coffee was there. It was the weirdest beer I've had in a long time for me. Of like, what is happening?
It's the weirdest beer since one we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah. I guess I give it like a 3.
Whoa, you and I are way different on this one, man.
Because like it was if I want to say it's a white stout, if they had written white stout,
I didn't even care about that.
But
once I tried it, I didn't care about it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how to handle this, man. Like it just was. I couldn't finish it. Because 16 ounces.
Sure,
but,
I finished mine.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
What'd
I
you
loved
have?
it. I had a 4.25, almost 4.5. I love this beer. I love it.
Really?
I love it because it's like aggressively different.
Sure.
And it's not different and bad. Sometimes we've had different beers like that lemon bacon or whatever. You're like, okay, or whatever. Like, why would you do this?
Why would you make this?
Why would you do this to beer? I would not. So you say 3. I'm like,
because I was expecting a stout.
I understand, but I'm saying if you were, that's what I'm trying to come into it and go, no. I understand the expectation or whatever, but the beer was still good.
It was very tasty, of like a sour pineapple coffee all together.
I still got the stout to it, and that's what to me where I was like, that's what from a look. You and I have a problem with the phrase mouthfeel.
Yeah, it's so gross.
It's gross from a phrasing standpoint.
Yes.
But you want to talk about a sour, that to me is like the flavor had a sour to it, but at no point when I drank this beer did it hit my like
it
throat.
did for me. It did for me a little bit.
I at no point like
Throat
you drink
feel?
a sour, it like you kind of get that like sort of like acid reflux sometimes.
Yes.
You feel it in your chest a little bit. Nope.
Yeah.
I could taste the like it felt like a stout for me.
Huh.
This
Wow.
is my note is I'll just bleep myself is what the sweet holy is this beer? It has the smell of a stout. To me, it had a bit of a smell of a stout.
It did.
It had the coconut with fruit. Tastes like a sour initially, but no sour feel on the like the mouthfeel or in the throat.
Yep.
There is only one beer I can think of, and we have been talking about this for years, and it does not exist anymore.
I know.
Is the Funky Jubilation from Hebrew Brewing, which also does not exist anymore.
Oh.
Right.
Shalom.
Shalom. This is one of the only beers I would ever talk about mouthfeel for. It's a sour in almost every sense of the word.
Yes.
It's like a sour stout.
Yes.
They would have been better off, I agree, saying this is a sour white stout.
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah.
But the moment I poured it, I was like, we are in for a goddamn
What
ride
is
here,
happening
man.
here? Yes.
Like, this is I want to go back tomorrow and buy another 2-pack. Like,
I did not like it.
I am sitting here, I'm floored by this beer.
It's so weird.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe why my rating was higher, is just to say it's been so long, both in my personal life and in this podcast, that we've been like, for me, pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
We've had some really bad beers that have been surprisingly bad.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm like, if I were to hand this to somebody who likes sours and say, try this, they'd be like, that's a pretty good sour.
Yes.
If I were to hand this to somebody who like I mean, I get your point. Is you have the expectation, but boy, did I have a 4.25. I mean, that might be our widest margin.
I think
ever.
so. Yeah.
but like, I love it. This makes me happy. It makes me love
That's not
beer.
what I signed up for, man.
I know, but I was like, yeah, I was expecting when I bought it, I was obviously expecting a dark beer with pineapple, coconut, and what was it?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Which does come through. The coffee
It does.
is there.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. There you go.
And then
I'm speechless by this beer, man. And I love it because it made me think of the Funky Jubilation, which is, for both of us, it's, quite frankly, it's like the Jurassic Park of beers for us in terms of experience.
Yes.
Because the two of us together
we had
experienced Jurassic Park, and then this beer, the single greatest weird beer we've ever had.
And it was so good. And you're like, what is happening with this beer? Yes.
So I guess we have a second strange brew.
Second one.
For a different reason.
Take off, you hoser. You take off, you numb.
I don't...
You can peel it off. I don't know where it's from.
Well, it's wherever Urban Artifact is, it's called astronaut fruit.
This is really interesting.
So you brought it over. It's 8-ounce can, and it's 15%. When is the last time we had a 15%?
Long time.
Beer that wasn't like barrel aged or something. It's a
stout,
freeze dried fruit tart ale, and I don't. Yeah, with this
Cincinnati, Ohio, by the way.
Okay. This 1,000 pound of, or sorry, the 1,000 pounds of freeze-dried blueberries used in each 1,000 gallon batch start off as 11,000 pounds of fresh fruit. The fruit is flash frozen, then the pressure is lowered and the ice is removed via sublimation. So they take that and they take the wild ripened flavor preserved. This astronaut food is ready to be brewed. Without water, the freeze-dried fruit allows the brewers to achieve traditionally impossible flavor intensity in a natural way. It is super intense. Like, and maybe that's where I had the
8-ounce beer.
Yeah, maybe I had like the whole thing of
15%.
Yes, of just a fruit ale. And
what's it officially designated as? A fruit ale?
It says fruit tart ale.
I mean, this is a sour. Ultimately,
it's a
absolutely.
Sour ale. I mean, I like to think this is where I got the blueberry from with the blackberry before because
you can
it was on my mind.
Yeah, it's fine. You can explain it all you want.
It's intense, man. 4 ounces and it is packing a punch.
Right. But that's what I like about it. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
We've talked about it with these
Don't give me a
stupid
tall
freaking
boy.
tall boys.
Yes.
Because this was $9 a can, by the way, for
I know,
8 ounces of quote unquote beer.
Yeah.
And you give me 4 ounces. Then to me, I'm like, you knew what you were doing when you made this beer.
But it's really good.
It's really good.
Like,
I have a 4.5 out of 5, if not a little more. I'm impressed as hell by this beer.
I'd give it a 4.5. Yeah, it's. I don't. Yeah, it's sour beer. Yeah, sorry, freeze dried fruit, astronaut food, sour beer. I like that. This is what we signed up for.
Yes.
When I saw this in my refrigerator, I'm like, what the hell is this little guy? It's exactly what we need. And 15%. And there's no way you could drink more than 4 ounces.
No. I'll be able to finish this by the time we're done.
It's so intense.
Yes. But like 1,000 pounds of freeze-dried blueberries and God knows what else you have in there. Like, good on you to do this. But
it's like you advertise it as a sour ale, and I like that.
But yeah,
if you had
I'll give you that about the stout.
As a stout.
I get your point of saying had it said white stout or things like that. I get your point because at one point didn't we have a white stout with like not white chocolate? Or wasn't it the peanut butter and jelly one we had at one point or whatever? And it was a white stout and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Or the mint one. There was a mint IPA that was.
Or it's like the barrel aged white stout from Dragon's Milk or whatever.
Oh
it is.
yeah.
And it's like 6.5%. Like how is it barrel aged? But yeah. That is fine because I'm signing up for that.
I understand.
Yes. But this
is super unique.
Ooh.
Like,
absolutely. And I like the fact that they owned up to like, we're going to sell you 8 ounces.
Yeah.
Because you cannot handle more than.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I see an 8-ounce can and you're going to charge me X amount of dollars, I'm like, I want to know what this is.
$1 an ounce?
Yeah. Or more.
Ooh. Well done. I'm glad you brought this. Like, this is intense.
But I still think technically the strange, had I known what we now know, the strange brew would have been that stout.
Well, it's funny. As
we're going
to
go with both. I'll do some hosers on both.
Well, as we were watching the end of the movie and drinking the stout, I was checking Untapped.
Yeah.
And all the pictures were from people uploading it. And yeah, everybody's like, this is not a stout. It's a white stout. And I was like, oh, yeah, well.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I still love it. All right.
Eh.
Shut up. All right. So our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Where in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you, our dear listeners. I do have a couple, but I'm going to start you with a fun fact.
Ooh, please do.
Seabiscuit is actually War Admiral's nephew in real life. In terms of, they don't talk about it.
Lineage?
And I was like, wait, what? They talk about it in the sense of Man-O-War sired Hardtack, and then they say Hardtack sired Seabiscuit.
Yep.
Right? So in reality, Hardtack and War Admiral are actually both from Man-O-War.
Okay.
So they are
they're
actually brothers or sisters or however, I don't know, whatever.
True.
And so Seabiscuit comes from Hardtack. So I was like, wait, what? So Man-O-War,
is this Hamlet?
I was like, Man-O-War sires both, and then one of them sires Seabiscuit, and the two of them are racing in the end. And I'm like, what the hell?
Takes down his uncle.
I know. I was like, well done.
That's good.
Interesting
I like
little
that.
fact.
So you're going to know this, but I like to, for the sake of just listeners.
I know everything.
At times, Seabiscuit relies on narration, provided by two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning author David McCullough.
We talked about it already.
It's so good. McCullough also provided narration for what game-changing 1990 Ken Burns 9-episode documentary series, which to this date is still the most watched program to ever air on PBS.
I watch it every year, and it's the baseball documentary. Oh, what?
He does that. Civil War. He does do baseball. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say.
1990, yeah.
Oh, 1990.
Yes.
I'm thinking, yeah. But anyway.
Yes.
Either way, he did both.
He does both.
He did
Indeed.
all those in the early.
Does.
Yes.
The Civil War
was also great.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. The baseball documentary is what I watch every year. Excuse me. I guess
off.
I was wrong, but I was right in the end.
Yeah, it worked out. Yes.
Dude, those documentaries are so good.
Oh,
But again, all the more reason to bring him in. You just cement this decades worth of authenticity.
The legacy,
by bringing him in. God, man.
And even the Ken Burnsification of this, where they use pictures.
Yeah.
And they're
zoom
moving
in
and zooming in. Yeah. It's
Shelby Foote from the Civil War documentary. Shelby Foote. There you go.
Good call that.
I know what I'm talking about.
That's good. Yep.
But also I literally watch a baseball documentary before every season starts. I watch a baseball documentary.
That's awesome.
Good for you.
That's why it's on my brain. Seabiscuit features a reunion between director Gary Ross and star Tobey Maguire, who shared the same roles in one of my favorite and your favorite, quote, forgotten films ever in 1998's Pleasantville.
Oh, yes.
Seriously. One of my all-time favorite movies that people have never watched.
It's so good.
Is Pleasantville. However, in Ross's next film, an incredible 9 years later, he would reunite with another star from this film, Elizabeth Banks. In what 2012 film did these two reunite?
Hunger Games.
Correct.
Is what, Elfie?
Yeah, she's
something?
Elfie. Yeah. 9 years. Hunger Games was his next film after this.
That's insane.
9 years. Yeah.
I knew he did that, but I forgot 9 years in between. Yeah. Wow. That's a great adaptation.
Oh, I totally agree. And Gary Ross has a pretty damn good filmography, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, but I cannot understate my love for Pleasantville.
Oh.
Cannot.
Ahead of its time, man.
Oh, cannot. Oh, yeah. And you think about 1998 was also The Truman Show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to cover that later this year.
Yes.
Spoiler. Two films way ahead of their damn time.
Yes.
Oh, man. I 97. 97.
Yes. 25 years. Yeah. Oh, Pleasantville.
I'm absolutely going to watch that this week.
William H. Macy.
Yep.
Yes. So speaking of director Gary Ross.
Yep.
He was nominated this year for the Best Screenplay Oscar for adapting the Seabiscuit book. Prior to that, he was nominated for an Oscar twice before in the original screenplay category for what 1988 Tom Hanks film and 1993 Kevin Kline film.
This is astonishing to me.
Yeah. Is that what you had?
This is astonishing to me. This is an all-time moment for me. Here's my next question for you. In honor of this weekend's Oscars, writer-director Gary Ross was nominated for this film for adapting the book, but was actually nominated twice before this film for original screenplay, and incredibly enough, he did so for comedies. What 1988 and 1993 classic comedies did Ross receive his first 2 Oscar nominations for? This is incredible.
Kismet!
We're done.
There we go. Yep.
This is it.
Yep.
Shutting this fucker down.
We've passed the
Literally,
Rubicon.
by the way, it's Big and Dave. 2 of my all-time favorite comedies.
So good.
Yes. But again, doing it for comedies is incredible. That is incredible.
Yes.
Not only, that is like a Lord of the Rings style, us talking about the fact that the height of the hobbits or whatever.
Yes. We'd had
We're
that
almost
trivia.
word for word. That is incredible.
That's so good. Didn't think about the Oscars this weekend. Whoa.
God dang it.
God. And we had to talk about just, again, our love of Kevin Kline. And
Oh my God.
Dave is so good.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess
And
you
Big.
can go next.
All right,
That's
so-
incredible. The wording is even so
it's
damn
just
close.
incredible.
I think, we just like melded into the same damn person.
Wow.
Okay, you got
So,
one, I got one more too, but I'll see if it happens again. What do you got?
If this happens again, we just gotta,
S that D.
don't cross the streams. So we'll get there. So bear with me. Cinematographer, we talked about him.
Okay, we're okay. Now we have different questions. Okay, we're good. All right.
John Schwartzman received his only Oscar nomination for this film.
Sure.
And has had the opportunity to work with some very prominent directors, including Richard Donner, Ron Howard, Rob Reiner, Colin Trevorrow, Michael Bay for Pearl Harbor.
Sure.
That we covered on this.
Yep.
Yet he comes from a storied Hollywood family. His father was a producer on the movie Never Say Never Again.
Sure.
His uncle is Francis Ford Coppola,
Love it.
who we've talked about before. His stepmother is Talia Shire,
Yep.
who played Adrian
Yep.
in Rocky. His stepbrother is actor Jason Schwartzman from many other things. His cousin is, Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
And his other cousin released her directorial debut the same year for what film that we're covering later this year?
Lost in Translation.
Yeah,
Sophia Coppola,
there
who
you
wins
go.
for original screenplay as well.
Got you there.
Yes. Nicely done.
Crazy family of I didn't know.
weird,
How is that?
I know. I mean, is there a lot of fucking in that family? I don't understand.
It's
really incredible.
It's just all great artists. So yeah, good job.
All right, this movie was the first, but not only adaptation of a mega bestseller book written by Laura Hillenbrand. In the same year as Ross's next film, 2012, what other mega hit book by Hillenbrand was adapted by the Coen brothers, by the way, into a film?
Oh my gosh. That's a freaking great trivia. Okay. Hildebrand, Coen brothers?
I know, that's what's throwing you off.
Because
it's not pretty incredible when you realize.
Well, it's not Cormac McCarthy because obviously it's Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Laura Hillenbrand, real life. Do you want a hint or
I cannot think of their filmography. Yeah, give me a hint.
Well, again, they wrote it, did not direct it. It's a World War II movie, real life, about Louis Zapparini.
I can't think of it.
Unbroken.
Oh yeah.
Shockingly enough, the Coen brothers,
they wrote that?
Yep.
I had no idea
Along
they
with
wrote
two
that.
other people, but yeah, they were they helped adapt that screenplay. Obviously directed by Angelina Jolie.
Yes. Like the
also
story
released in 2012.
Wow.
Unbroken is a Laura Hillenbrand
good
book.
trivia.
2 mega hit books, by the way.
Nice.
And Seabiscuit is a great book. But
well,
there you go.
That's good trivia. Nice.
Why, thank you. Well, we had one. I can't even believe the wording of those two things. I almost want to frame them.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. Well, that'll bring us to the end of our episode. Stay tuned for our upcoming happy hour on The Italian Job and for upcoming April episodes on X2, X-Men United. We need some redemption on the X-Men franchise.
Yes.
And a film none of you have watched in Phone Booth. Be sure to find all our previous episodes on your favorite streaming platform. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on Twitter at years_beers and on Facebook, or head to 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Holy crap! All berries matter.
Oh, berries matter. I don't know how to handle this, man. 3?
Whoa! You and I are way different on this one, man. We are in for a goddamn
What
ride
is happening
here, man.
here?
What the sweet holy is this beer?
Shalom.
Shalom.